Thank you for joining us for another episode in this series of studies of the book of the Revelation of John. In this episode, which is part 9, we will examine the 7 plagues, the third Babylon, and the scarlet beast, which are found in chapters 15 through 17. We will use our 26 core imagery keywords, as fully explained in part 1. Please watch part 1, if you have not already done so. The first imagery keyword for this slide is beast, which symbolizes an empire or civilization. The second keyword is sea, which symbolizes Europe and the Middle East. We will now read Revelation chapter 15 from verse 1 to verse 8. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of God. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of God. And they sing the song of Moses the servant of God, and the song of the Lamb, saying, Great and marvelous are thy works, Lord God Almighty. Just and true are thy ways, thou King of saints. Who shall not fear thee, O Lord, and glorify thy name? For thou only art holy. For all nations shall come and worship before thee. For thy judgments are made manifest. Let us now break down the meaning of verses 1 through 4. We have a sea of glass mingled with fire. Per our imagery keywords, the sea is Europe and the Middle East, which is a territory on earth. We derive that the sea of glass is a territory in heaven. We have people who had the victory over the beast. A beast is an empire or civilization. This means that these people resisted benefits of being part of an empire or civilization, in favor of their faith in Jesus. There were people who had victory over the image of the beast. An image of the beast will be an empire made into the image of a major empire, or it will be an organization with a beast-like structure. This means that these people resisted joining an organization or faith that would have provided benefits, in favor of their faith in Jesus. There were people who had victory over the mark of the beast. This means that these people rejected earthly ideologies, like for example globalism, in favor of their faith in Jesus. There were people who had victory over the number of his name. This means that these people resisted the temptation of prosperity through dealing with earthly forces, in favor of their faith in Jesus. All of the mentioned people stood on the sea of glass, having the harps of God. This means that they received a place of honor in heaven. All of these people sang praises to God. This means that they have accepted Jesus as their King, and that is why they are praising God. And after that, I looked, and, behold, the temple of the tabernacle of the testimony in heaven was opened. And the 7 angels came out of the temple, having the 7 plagues, clothed in pure and white linen, and having their breasts girded with golden girdles. And one of the 4 beasts gave unto the 7 angels 7 golden vials full of the wrath of God, who liveth forever and ever. And the temple was filled with smoke, from the glory of God, and from his power, and no man was able to enter into the temple, till the 7 plagues of the 7 angels were fulfilled. This means to us, that the evil of mankind has reached incredibly low levels of depravity, and it cannot go unpunished anymore. God intervenes with the 7 plagues, which will be the last plagues before Jesus returns. Even though people actually think that they are the smart ones who are planning and executing these events, it is absolutely the will of God that they happen. The first imagery keyword for this slide is sun, which symbolizes righteousness. The second keyword is a person, which symbolizes a country or a nation. The third keyword is earth, which symbolizes Africa. The fourth keyword is sea, which symbolizes Europe and the Middle East. The fifth keyword is rivers and fountains of water, which symbolizes Asia. We will now read Revelation from chapter 16 verse 1 to verse 9. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, Go your ways, and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. And the first went, and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. From our imagery keywords, we know that the earth is Africa, and that a person is a country or state. We can extrapolate from this, that the people on earth, are countries or states in Africa. In the book of Revelation, there are a total of 3 beasts on earth. We already identified the Roman Catholic beast, and the Islamic beast. However, there is a third beast, a scarlet beast, which is slowly being revealed to us, with its own mark, and its own right hand. We will examine the third beast in detail in the next chapter. We can read about this beast in Revelation chapter 17 verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. This beast is still in the process of revealing itself to us, but it already forces down ideologies like globalism, open borders, capitalism, socialism and communism onto countries in Africa. This led to new laws into those countries, which were designed to oppress and exterminate people. This caused murder, torture and many other reprehensible acts, which forced most civilized governments in Africa to succumb to corruption. Anarchy is now rubber-stamped as freedom. This became so bad, that many of these people will have to flee to other countries to escape from violence and persecution in their countries. Here we can see a few of the noisome and grievous sore that fell onto those countries. This is only an example of a few countries, who have chosen the mark of the beast on the forehead. And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea. The sea symbolizes Europe and the Middle East. People symbolize countries. As the earth has people, the sea has living souls. The meaning of the second plague is that European countries who were Christian countries, symbolized by living souls, all died and became part of Satan's European Union. Once part of this ungodly union, a country cannot leave it. An example is, that it became seemingly impossible for Great Britain to leave the Union. It is not certain that they will be able to complete their withdrawal from the EU. All the countries in Europe were affected by the European Union, and effectively lost their sovereignty, with their cultures now dying and going lost. And the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of waters, and they became blood. And I heard the angel of the waters say, Thou art righteous, O Lord, which art, and wast, and shalt be, because thou hast judged thus. For they have shed the blood of saints and prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. And I heard another out of the altar say, Even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are thy judgments. From our imagery keywords, we know that the rivers and fountains of water is Asia. The third plague started when Russia abandoned communism. It had great tribulations and civil wars. Soviet Russia did terrible things against many Christians, and they were punished for that. As of today, it will continue for the governments of China and North Korea, who are still literally shedding the blood of saints and prophets. The organs of healthy Christians are removed and sold on the black market. There are rumors that Steve Jobs, who was the famous CEO of Apple, received a liver for transplant from the black market. China has taken human rights abuses to an incredible level of godlessness. It is possible that China may experience a new revolution, which will affect the entire Asia. And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. And men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God, which hath power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him glory. From our list of imagery keywords, we know that the sun means righteousness, and that people who will be scorched, means that there will be a reckoning for people of governments who perpetrate evils in secret. There are rumors that at the highest levels of governments, that the most respected are involved in pedophile networks, and even the sacrifice of children. Many of those may also be openly supporting the legalization of abortion and even infanticide. The vial that was poured onto the earth started in the year 1945, when the decolonization of Africa started, and it claimed the last victim, which was in the year of 1994, when South Africa accepted the mark of the beast, by agreeing to abandon Christian principles and accepting beastly principles. The grievous sore that South Africa experiences right now, seems only to be getting worse, with the worst yet to come. The vial that was poured onto the sea, is the formation of the European Union. This started in the year 1985 with the Schengen Agreement, which led to a unified monetary system, and claimed its last victim in the year 2007. Things are becoming really bad in Europe, because Europe abandoned all its Christian principles, in favor of globalist Luciferian ideals. The vial that was poured onto the rivers and fountains of water, started in the year 1991, with the fall of communism in Soviet Russia. The third plague most probably, will continue until communism falls in China, as well as North Korea. The fourth plague is the vial that was poured out onto the sun. It appears that a light of righteousness has started to burn the utterly corrupt from all governments across the whole world, and it seems to just get worse as time goes by. It is rumored that an elected president was not able to take office because of fraud and corruption. It is further rumored that the alleged fraud who was installed in office to serve the beast of globalism is completely corrupt, and on top of that a pedophile too. One has to ask if there is any truth to these rumors. The year 2020 is written in red, as this may be the start of the fourth plague. The imagery keyword for this slide is Euphrates, which symbolizes the natural border between East and West. We will now read Revelation chapter 16, from verse 10 to verse 16. And the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. The first possibility is that the beast is Western civilization, and that the seat symbolizes the rulers of Western civilization, which is the United States of America. This may symbolize a time of darkness for the people of the seat of the beast, which may be the consequences of when the currency of the United States will lose its status as a trusted currency in all the rest of the world, which is also known as the petrodollar. A new inferior currency may cause a loss of wealth for many people, and may even lead to blame being assigned to innocent groups, with the possibility of civil war in the United States. It may also mean that the seed of the beast are the central bankers who control people's wealth. It may be possible that people will wake up to the destruction the central banks cause to people's well-being, and that countries may reject their services to bring an end to central banking. This will have a major negative impact, which will cause finger-pointing and possibly civil war in many countries. The seed of the beast may also symbolize elites running the world in secret. These elites may be pointed out and prosecuted, which will cause darkness and pain. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. From our list of imagery keywords, we know that the Euphrates is the natural border between East and West. The natural borders between East and West were broken down by the Internet, and the fact that mostly everybody across the world has to learn English. This makes it easy for the countries of the East, like China, to know what is going on in countries in the West, like America. The Eastern countries already lost the fear of nuclear war, because they themselves own the same technologies, which they already have stolen through spies, and probably much of it, over the Internet. It should also be kept in mind, that it may also be possible, that the Euphrates River may actually dry up. As of the production of this video, it is already known that the Euphrates is drying up completely, and of great concern to countries who depend on the waters of the Euphrates. Nothing is impossible before God. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. We can speculate that the 3 frogs likely symbolize the legalization of 3 major abominations before God. The miracle from the first frog is most probably the legalization of homosexuality in a democratic system, against the wishes of the overwhelming majority. Homosexuality has been propagated for many decades by the beast, but it was not coded into the laws of all countries yet. We have identified the beast as the Western civilization. Homosexuality was always sugar-coated as gay rights, and is simply shoved down the throats of citizens of all civilized countries all over the world. We believe that the frog or unclean spirit will succeed in codifying homosexual marriage into law all over the world. The miracle from the second frog will probably be the legalization of pedophilia in democratic systems all over the world, against the wishes of the overwhelming majority of people. Pedophilia is standard practice in Islam, which was identified as the false prophet. Pedophilia and child transgenderism is also propagated by leftist political groups today, who will normalize and legalize this practice in countries all over the world. The miracle from the third frog will probably be the legalization of human sacrifice in democratic countries all over the world against the wishes of the overwhelming majority of people. Human sacrifice is also known as euthanasia and abortion. Human sacrifice is required by Satan himself from his followers. Abortion has now become a staple of leftist politicians of Western nations, who seems desperate to normalize the murder of unborn and young children. Here are a few pictures of famous and infamous politicians, who are openly homosexual, who are agents of the frog from the mouth of the beast. These are a few pictures of very well-known people, rumored to be involved in pedophilia, who are agents of the frog from the mouth of the false prophet. The few young ladies in these pictures were reported to be victims of these pedophiles. Lastly, We have a few pictures of famous politicians who support abortion, and maybe even infanticide, who are agents of the frog from the mouth of the dragon, who is Satan. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth, and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. Verse 15 means that Jesus will come at a very unexpected time, and also in an unexpected way. We are encouraged to overcome sin and evil every moment of our lives. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. It is the angel who poured out the sixth vial, who is the one who gathered all the nations for war in a place named Armageddon. To understand where this place possibly may be, we are going to watch a clip from David Pawson's lecture. Unlocking the Old Testament Part 1, Overview of the Old Testament. It can be found on YouTube.
Actually, the road from Europe comes to Arabia, comes down through that corridor, and the road from Africa to Asia goes through that corridor. On this map, the road from Europe comes down the coast, it crosses the plain of Esdraelon, goes down into the Jordan Valley, and up onto the other side and down to Arabia. The road from Africa comes up the coastal plain, and it crosses over the same Vale of Esdraelon, or the Valley of Jezreel, and goes up through Capernaum and up through Damascus and on to India and China. So that the actual crossroads of the world is precisely there, at a little hill called Megiddo. And the hill of Megiddo in Hebrew is Harmageddon. And that's why most of the big battles in history took place there, at the crossroads of the world.
From David Pawson's lecture, we can conclude that Armageddon symbolizes the crossroads of the world. When using a Google search, we can find 3 places named crossroads of the world. The first place is a shopping mall in Hollywood, California, named the Crossroads of the World. Here is a picture of the crossroads of the world in Google Maps. It does not seem likely that the nations of the world will gather here for the final battle, but one never knows. The next place known as the Crossroads of the World is Panama. Panama is known as the Crossroads of the World because it is a symbolic link between North and South America. This also seems unlikely to be the place of Armageddon. The third place known as the Crossroads of the World is the Middle East. That is, because it lies at the intersection of 3 continents: Europe, Asia, and Africa. This seems to be the most likely place, if it is not the original battlefield at Armageddon. Rumor has it that a group of occultist elite cronies have already pre-planned 3 world wars more than a century ago, which is part of a grandiose plan to take control of the world, and to convert the entire world to a Luciferian religion. 2 of these alleged occult elite cronies were Pike and Mazzini, who are still very famous in Freemason and other occult circles today. We will now look at a letter that was allegedly written by Albert Pike to Mazzini. This is apparently according to their plan. The Third World War is to be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. This may affirm that the most likely place for the Third World War to start is in the Middle East. However, this letter may not be authentic. The first imagery keyword for this slide is a person, which symbolizes a country or a nation. The second keyword is city, which symbolizes a union of countries or nations. The third keyword is earthquake, which symbolizes a major disruption or upheaval of people's lives. The fourth keyword is mountain, which symbolizes governing principles introduced by a leading empire. We will now read from Revelation chapter 16, from verse 17 to verse 21. And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven, from the throne, saying, It is done. And there were voices, and thunders, and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake, and so great. We need to put this in context with the previous vial, which ended with the angel gathering all the nations for war. From our list of imagery keywords, we know that an earthquake is a major disruption of people's lives. When mixed with thunder and lightning, it is a more severe disruption. The fact that nations were gathered for war means that this will be a huge war, which will be the last world war. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before God, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. From our list of imagery keywords, we know that a city symbolizes a union of countries, states or nations. The great city will break into 3 parts. This may be the European Union, when they realize how utterly corrupt the United States really is. Great Babylon will come in remembrance before God. We believe that the Great Babylon is the United States of America. The first part of the EU will believe the issues of the United States is temporary. They will choose to remain pro-United States. The second part may believe that the United States cannot be salvaged, and that the United States can never be trusted ever again. They will probably support Russia and China. The third part will probably hate both the United States and Asia. They will most probably choose to be pro-Islam. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. From our imagery keywords, a mountain symbolizes governing principles of civilization. We can derive that the principles of the great empires and civilizations will be completely abandoned, symbolized by mountains. Laws, symbolized by islands, will be abandoned in favor of primeval survival. This possibly means that humanity will devolve into complete lawlessness. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent, and men blasphemed God, because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great. A hailstone of 1 talent is a hailstone of 75 pounds. If such a hailstone falls on somebody, that person will be dead. As a person symbolizes a country, the hailstones symbolize something that is very powerful, that can wipe out an entire country, when it falls onto it. The meaning of the hailstones with the weight of 1 talent, could have 3 possibilities. The first possibility is, objects from orbit like huge asteroids or comets. The second possibility is nuclear bombs, which sounds like a more likely possibility, because the nations will be at war. The third possibility is that it will be a combination of nuclear bombs and objects from space. It may mean that the war starts with nuclear bombs, and then God intervenes with objects falling from space, to change the planned outcome of the war. The nations blaspheme God, because they still do not understand that it is God's will that the war is happening, and that God is to get them to repent. The 5th vial was poured onto the seat of the beast, and darkened the kingdom of the beast. The 6th vial that was poured on the Euphrates, and the 3 frogs, are the nations being gathered for war. The 7th vial, which was the vial poured into the air, will be the last world war. We could not identify any specific events that started the 5th and 6th plagues, but these plagues may already be happening at this time. We can only warn that we may in fact be closer to the last World War than we think. The imagery keyword for this slide is city, which symbolizes a union of nations or countries. To clarify the next 3 chapters, which are chapters 17 through 19, we will post a reminder on top, that all of these chapters still describe events of the 7th plague. We have just read in chapter 16, that the 7th plague started. In verse 19, we read that the unions of nations or states fell, per our imagery keyword, symbolized by cities. We also read, that the great Babylon came in remembrance before God. The next 3 chapters will describe the horror of the last World War, and what we can expect to come. Chapter 17 describes the 2 major participants of the war. Those are the whore, referred to as Babylon, and the beast, who is being controlled by Babylon. The beast hates being controlled by Babylon, and summons the 10 horns to destroy Babylon. Chapter 18 describes the incredible riches of Babylon, her incredible luxury and ludicrous spending, and how it impacts the rest of the world when she is destroyed. Chapter 19 describes the joy in heaven, when Babylon is destroyed, and the war waged by Jesus. The first imagery keyword for this slide is a person, which symbolizes a country, a state or a nation. The second keyword is beast, which symbolizes an empire. The third keyword is earth, which symbolizes Africa. The fourth keyword is wilderness, which symbolizes another, strange country. We will now read Revelation chapter 17, from verse 1 to verse 8. And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. The first attribute of the great whore, or Babylon, is that she sits on many waters. This means that Babylon is in control of many countries all over the world. We know this if we read a little further ahead. In Revelation 17 verse 15, we read, And he saith unto me, The waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples, and multitudes, and nations, and tongues. From this, we can learn that the waters are many people and nations, all over the world, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. We know that the whore is utterly corrupt, because she committed fornication with the kings of the earth. From our imagery keywords, we know that a person is a country. The kings of the earth are symbolic of countries in Africa. Politicians of the whore possibly makes deals on behalf of Babylon with third world country leaders in Africa, using taxpayers' money, which has the end goal only, of enriching themselves. Many people, or inhabitants who are made drunk of the wine of her fornication, are those who benefit from these corrupt deals, also enriching themselves. These deals will mostly be so-called foreign aid deals, which are camouflaged to look like charity by using words like much-needed aid. We can thus say that Babylon hides corruption behind charity. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. From our list of imagery keywords, we know that a wilderness symbolizes a strange country. We can derive that the country of the whore is in a strange country in relation to the beast. The beast always arrives from the Middle East or Europe, but the woman is in the wilderness, possibly another continent. From our imagery keywords, we know that a beast symbolizes an empire or civilization. From this, we can derive that the whore controls an empire or civilization, because the whore sits on the beast. We will assume that the scarlet beast will have originated in Europe and the Middle East, which were the countries of the beast from the sea. The beast is full of names of blasphemy, which means that nations of the beast pretend to be Christian, when in fact they're not. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. We can find many verses where purple, scarlet and gold are mentioned in relation to items of the tabernacle, which was built by the Israelites when they were in the desert. An example is in Exodus 28 verse 6. And they shall make the ephod of gold, of blue, and of purple, of scarlet, and fine twined linen, with cunning work. The colors of purple, scarlet and gold symbolize a religious connection. We may thus derive that the horse symbolizes an entity that has a set of values, a system of morality, that is religious to her. It may be a constitution, used by the whore to preach her values to the world, almost like it is some kind of religion. She is arrayed in purple and scarlet color, decked with gold, which together with precious stones and pearls, symbolizes that the whore is fabulously rich. The cup in her hand is full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. It means that she hides all her immorality behind her perceived as precious values, symbolized by the golden cup. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Mystery means that many of her abominations will be committed in secret. It may also mean that Babylon was founded on the values of secret organizations, especially the Freemasons. Babylon means that the demonic forces of ancient Babylon preside over Babylon. The Great means that Babylon is the greatest country on earth, that even John wondered in admiration when he saw her. She is the mother of harlots and abominations, which symbolizes immoral groups and ideas, for example the sexual revolution and the immorality it propagated, the LGBTQ movement, Planned Parenthood that lobbies for laws that allows abortion, the love of lies and fake news propaganda, and so on. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus, and when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. The woman is most probably perpetually involved in war. She creates some wars without direct participation, while directly participating in other wars. All of these wars claims the lives of millions of innocent people, of whom many are saints and Christians. She sometimes victimizes herself in the eyes of her citizens, to justify those wars, which are fought for greed and earthly profits. Her drunkenness symbolizes her excessive greed, of which her profits are based on the blood of many innocent people. John wondered in admiration, because the woman was very impressive, and in her deception, looks holy. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman, and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. The beast that was, and is not, yet he is, means that the beast is a succession of civilizations, that were, which means they are fallen, and therefore they are not. However, the demonic forces behind those empires will start a new civilization, which means that the beast ascends from the bottomless pit. The new civilization may have a different appearance, and it may be managed by different people, but it will be controlled by the same old demonic forces, which means that it yet is. The beast will go into perdition, means that all of the civilizations will eventually all be completely destroyed. People will be in wonder when they see the beast. From our imagery keywords, a person symbolizes a country or a nation. It means that when other countries from Africa, symbolized by Earth, whose names are not written in the book of life, see the beast or the new civilization, that they will like what they see, and that they will want to be part of it, because they want the same technologies, benefits and riches, than the countries of the beast. The first imagery keyword for this slide is hour, which symbolizes 15 days. The second keyword is city, which symbolizes a union of nations, states or countries. The third keyword is beast, which symbolizes empire or civilization. The fourth keyword is earth, which symbolizes Africa. The fifth keyword is mountain, which symbolizes governing principles introduced by a leading empire. We will now read from Revelation chapter 17, from verse 9 to verse 18. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, on which the woman sitteth. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come, and when he cometh, he must continue a short space. We have identified the 7 kings, or 7 heads. The first king is the Babylonian Empire. Babylon is fallen. The mountain of Babylon was immigration, which is the first head of the beast. It encouraged all the best skilled people from the known world to migrate to Babylon. In some cases, the Babylonian government forcefully abducted people to migrate to Babylon. The second king is the Medo-Persian Empire. Medo-Persia is fallen. The mountain of Medo-Persia was a multi-state system, which is the second head of the beast. The nations in captivity in Babylon were sent back to rule over their original countries. They became states of the Medo-Persian Empire, in which they had equal rights than other states. All states receive special benefits from the empire. The third king is the Greek Empire. The Greek Empire is fallen. The mountain of the Greek Empire was democracy, which is the third head of the beast. The fourth king was the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire is fallen. The mountain of the Roman Empire is Roman law, which is the fourth head of the beast. The fifth king was the Roman Catholic Empire. The Roman Catholic Empire has fallen in 1978, when Spain converted to a democracy. The mountain of the Roman Catholic Empire was Establishment Christian churches, which is the fifth head of the beast. The sixth king is Western civilization. Western civilization is our current civilization. The mountain of Western civilization is computer technology, which is used by governments to administer their operations, which is the sixth head of the beast. The seventh king is perceived to be the so-called one world government, and it will most probably arise out of the European Union and the United Nations. The one world government does not exist yet. The mountain of the one world government will be Satan, who will be named Lucifer, who will be universally worshipped as a god. Satan worship will be the seventh head of the beast. We can thus say that the scarlet beast is built on the foundations of 7 civilizations, of which the features of each civilization will all be incorporated into the final civilization. We will also attempt to identify the whore and the sixth head of the beast later in the next video. And the beast that was, and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perdition. This means to us, the seven civilizations are the main components of the actual beast. Once all seven civilizations are destroyed, and their demonic forces are taken away to be punished, then the beast itself will also be destroyed forever. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These 10 countries, symbolized by the 10 horns, did not exist in the time that the prophecy was written, but they may already exist today. From our imagery keywords, we know that an hour symbolizes 15 days. This most probably means that the last World War will last for 15 days, and that these 10 horns, which are 10 countries, will participate in the last World War, all of them in an alliance, most probably with nuclear weapons. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These 10 countries will go to war to liberate the beast from the dominance of the whore, who is also known as Babylon. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords, and King of kings, and they that are with him are called, and chosen, and faithful. The forces of the beast will aim to destroy Christianity in all forms that it exists. They will target preachers and churches, by infiltration and corruption, and the persecution of true believers. However, Jesus will intervene, and he will not allow them to accomplish their goals. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples, and multitudes, and nations, and tongues. This means that the whore, who is Babylon, has control of many, many nations all over the world. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. The demonic forces of Persia, Greece and Rome hated the forces of Babylon, and their hatred towards the forces of Babylon rubs off on the people of their kingdom. This all happens because it is God's will that the 10 horns of the beast will hate Babylon, who is the whore. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. From our list of keywords, a city symbolizes a union of states or nations. It means that Babylon is a great union of states or countries. Earth symbolizes Africa. This also means that Babylon controls Africa. This concludes part 9 of this series of Revelation, chapters 15 through 17, which examine the 7 plagues, the third Babylon and the scarlet beast. Please consider watching the next video, which will be part 10. We will continue with chapter 18, and then we will analyze Babylon the whore, the scarlet beast, as well as the mark of the scarlet beast. Thank you for watching this video.